I'm going to call this special meeting to order. So first we'll take attendance. Susanna?
Yes. Hi, Susanna Ordway, representing Area 4.
I'm Laura Bratt, representing Area 3.
Shelley Clark, representing Area 2.
Jesse Van Z, representing Area 1.
And Rachel Hurd, representing Area 5.
Okay, and now let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so next we'll move on to acceptance of agenda. Can I get a motion to accept the special meeting agenda?
I move that we accept a special meeting agenda.
I'll second.
The motion was made by Board Member Van Zee and seconded by Board Member Ordway. Roll call vote, Board Member Hurd.
Aye.
Board Member Van Zee.
Aye.
Board Member Ordway.
Aye.
Board Member Clark.
Aye.
Board Member Bratt.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0.
All right, so we'll move on to item 4, action items. 4.1, designate a search firm to lead superintendent search. So, and I just wanted to kind of briefly just kind of give us some context and give the community some context. So the responsibilities of the Board of Trustees are specific and prescribed by law. They include setting direction, ensuring accountability, fiduciary responsibilities, providing community leadership for the school district, and hiring, employing the superintendent. So this is our one of our core jobs. As the board, I'm sorry, I skipped a paragraph. First, boards of education have only one employee, and that's the superintendent. All other employees of the district report either directly or indirectly to the superintendent. So securing the right leader to work with this board and for our district is extremely important, which I'm sure we understand. So as the board begins the important task of identifying the next superintendent, the first step is to consider the process that we will use to conduct our search. And that's kind of why we're here today, is to decide if we want to hire a recruitment firm, how we want to do it, if there's one that, we have, I think, one that's recommended, or if we want to pull out and do the process of an RFP, if we want to broaden that. So I don't know if we want to first talk about the idea of an RFP process, or if we want to go right into the idea of a consultant. I think that in the last 1, 2, or 3 times, Rachel, you can maybe clarify, we used one group.
So in 2008, which was the first time I went through the process, we did put out an RFP, and I don't know, I think we probably got like 5 or 6 responses. We had a subcommittee of the board, which was Greg Marvel and I reviewed those, and we narrowed it down, and we actually interviewed, I think it was 3, it might've been 2, and then ended up choosing Leadership Associates. And then because each of these other times there was a continuation of those same board members, there was confidence in, let's just stay with Leadership Associates. We're comfortable working with them. And then, it's up to this board if we want to continue doing that. I believe they're kind of viewed as the leaders in this area. John, do you have?
They do quite a bit of the searches specific to California.
How long would it, because I had one experience, right, with and only with Leadership Associates, and that, they worked, to my opinion, fine, because they were very thorough and very thoughtful about the process. I was just wondering, how long would it take for an RFP?
Well, it was kind of an intensive process, not the RFP, but
Right.
then reading all the proposals and then interviewing them all. And I mean, to be really frank, there wasn't much difference in what they were each offering back in 2008. It seemed pretty kind of standard. There were a little bit of differences. CSBA offers those services too. And so they're like, one of the ones that had applied. When we go to our conference, hiring a superintendent is one of the workshops that gets put on. They know our district already. They, a lot of the stuff is very similar, but it's then updating it. And
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who casts the widest net? Do we know that?
well, part of it depends on the direction we give them. So last time we went with a national search. As I recall, the time before that, we asked for a national search. think we might have not gone national the other times because the challenge, and I think John could probably speak to this, there's a lot that's unique to California. And so the learning curve of California is tough. And then the time before the pool John was in, I remember one of the people we interviewed was from Illinois, and Illinois is a very well-funded education state. And this person was very clear to explain that, oh, well, I'm in one of the low-funded parts of Illinois. And then when he actually saw what we had to work with, he was like, oh, I didn't really understand what you meant. And it's just, it's not that they can't be effective. It's just, it's like a calibration of how austere it is, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I can add without speaking specifically to any one group, because that's your job. In this day and age, with technology being what it is, and the places where someone who's looking would go, all of the search firms use them, including Leadership Associates. So even if your net was California, where they place their information, you may still get a candidate from somewhere else because people looking only go to 2 or 3 places to see where the openings are. So I just want to offer that to you, that even if it is a national firm or a state firm, they all post at the same place. That isn't necessarily the issue as much as if the services might be different. And I don't know the specifics about that.
And I think the big thing that you're paying for when you contract with these services is really their network and who they know. Because in addition to posting it, they're out there tapping people on the shoulder
That's
saying this
exactly
would
what
be a
I'm
great
asking.
fit for you.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
I'm asking, yeah.
What's the nature of these contracts? Is it exclusive or is it open? And is it flat fee or is it percentage of first year salary and benefits type structure?
I don't
What
know
are
the
those
answer to that.
And I'm assuming if it's flat fee, it's exclusive because you're saying we are going with you versus.
Do you want me to kind of describe some of the services that, like what I remember from the process? Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you hire them, they come in, they meet with all of us, we write up the district profile, kind of like what we're looking for. Obviously, with the things we're doing, we would be including the strategic directions and the learner profile and all these things that have happened recently that I'm assuming we all value because it was in the letter we put out to the community. They do an engagement process with the community. The very first time I went through this, we identified so many individual groups and they met with each individual group. Like they met with the PTA executive board, they met with the Ed Foundation board, they met with went down really, really granular. The next time we did it, we kind of learned that we didn't need to go to that many groups. We could just hold a few events and people came and they're on there with the whiteboard and they're, what are you looking for in a school leader? And, it's all over the place. The first time it had been after a superintendent who'd been superintendent for 13 years. And so the change thing hadn't, kind of become normal. Now we've been on this 4-year cycle. So anyway, they did all that engagement and they met with the board about the engagement. And then that kind of helped inform, some of the things we were putting out there that we were looking for. It informs the draft questions they write. So applications come in, they prepare a binder with all of them, with everything, but they do screen them themselves and give us a recommended top 8 or something like that, 6, or I think it was more than 6. It might have been more like 8 or 10, but we have access to all of it. And we go, oh, this person's really interesting. We'd like to interview them. So there's a little bit of moving around. They help us develop the questions, like they start with a draft and then it's all us. We get to, do that because you ask everybody the same questions. That's part of the formality of it. And we meet offsite for the interviews and say we decide to interview 6 or 8. It'd be a very long day to do, I think, more than 6. Very orchestrated process on how we individually rank them. And then at the end of the day, they facilitate how we discuss it. But truly facilitate, right? Not direct. And then usually you pick the top 2 to come back for a second interview. But one time we picked 3, just makes for a longer day. And that day's a little more free flowing, still follow-up questions, but you know, there's more give and take in the questions and answers. And then we deliberate, we decide who to make an offer to. Every time I've been involved, we've done a site visit to that person's current district. And they set up meetings with all kinds of different folks. The only group we didn't do that with was John, because we were
Yeah, I
in
didn't get to do
shutdown
that.
and it was all virtual.
And another good.
But like when we hired Rick Schmidt, we got on a plane and we went down to San Diego and, you know, talked to the union president, talked to two board members. I mean, it's very thorough and it's encouraged because you definitely get a feel for what you're getting and they're getting a feel for you. And so yeah, they basically hold your hand through the whole thing. Then there's, you know, a negotiation about the contract. Usually that's the president, could be one of us that works on that. Now that we've renegotiated John's contract, our contract is less just, this is how it is. So there'd be more room for negotiation there. Is that what you're looking for? Did I miss anything?
So what's the timeline basically? Like, how does it roll out as far as we're gonna post it when, and then how long do you leave it posted?
I don't remember those timeframes. I remember Greg Marvel used to often talk about how you want to get out earlier.
Right.
Because people who are looking to leave are looking around and you don't want to
Right.
miss the boat. So you want to act quickly, which is probably one reason to say, let's not waste time with an RFP. John's given us a lot of time, but I mean, we pretty much would want this done by May. And we'd like
Yeah,
some
we'd like
overlap
to
with
spend
John
it,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of to my question. So I'm just curious, John, from your perspective, like that I don't know, that pattern for superintendents, like how much time do we realistically have and what are the best candidates gonna have their eyes open?
So to Rachel's point, I can assert that I was grateful that I was able to work where I'm going to get the information to you, because soon you're going to be moving into the window. So right now is the normal time. The postings are coming out now and will come out for the next month, and everything is finished by May. We were a little later because there were reasons why the information here didn't come out. So we were into June, but that would be considered by superintendent standards late, because the other problem is that if they are sitting superintendents, they're informing their district, and there's an expectation that people are here on July 1. And because I didn't know until June 7th, I had to ask for August 1 because I just couldn't get out from the district fast enough because of how it needed to be a little bit later. So the time is now.
And that July 1 start date is really gonna provide our community with the best transition. Right.
And in terms of just the terms of the contract and all that stuff with the way the benefits work and all
It's
that.
the fact that I needed to start on August 1 had caused all kinds of other hiccups that you just don't want to deal with, like.
Right.
It's just kind of a pain for
Um,
pension reasons and all kinds of.
Right. And one more thing I didn't mention when I was describing the process, this is less for you guys and more for the audience, is that this is an entirely closed confidential process. These interviews do not happen in public because the superintendents that are interviewing, you know, they don't want their districts to know. They often, before they come in for the interview, tell their board, but it's not out there because if they don't get it, they don't want their community knowing that they were looking.
Yeah, so I guess maybe the first kind of thing that we need to make sure maybe we're in agreement is, do we want to consider the RFP process, or do we want to look at just hiring someone and then we can talk about, is it leadership that we're looking to, if that's what we decide? So, and it sounds like the RFP process would be no less than 3 weeks, right? Because there would be the putting it together and then putting it out, and then you probably need, I guess, at least a week that it's out there for people to write their RFPs and submit them. And then we would need another week to go over them and decide and then create a contract. So that puts us into the end, you know, certainly the second half of March, probably more realistically, the end of March. So then April would be the process, and then May would be when it would be out and we'd be accepting applications. I feel like we don't have a lot of time to waste. as
No,
we're
I
making
think,
motion.
no, I
Base-
went back last time and looked at the timeline.
Stella just reminded us that to do it properly and follow all the rules, it probably has to be a little longer.
Okay, yeah.
I was gonna say, I looked at the timelines and yeah, I mean, it was really, really.
It was pretty intense just as it
intense,
was.
Yeah,
And we started later, but still.
right. So I would suggest.
I think based on the services that these companies provide and the insight that they have into the market, it's worth it for us to hire them to walk us through this, especially since a lot of us haven't been through this before. And it would be valuable to me to have a company that does this all the time and can avail us of all the information rather than to try to do this with an RFP and go through that.
Yeah, and has done it with our district specifically, so knows our district
Yeah.
to a certain
Yeah.
extent. I mean, it's been 4 years and we're a different board, but yeah.
And what's the fee? Maybe it was said, but I missed it, or do we not know? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because they've done some other internal searches for us for other candidates, right? Okay. Have we used Leadership Associates on CBOs?
No, we didn't.
Okay, I thought,
We use school services.
okay.
I will say again, with no negativity to anyone else, because I don't know them. My experience with them was very excellent. And I've been through this a few times to know a difference. So again, I'm not commenting on anyone else who could
Right,
be
right.
also brilliant. I'm simply saying my experience was very professional. They were always in communication. They didn't tell me things I wasn't supposed to know, but you never felt like you were out there without understanding what was happening. And I just offer that again to let you know that I experienced their service to come here and it was very effective.
And since Cindy interfaced with them a lot too, are you okay with us asking you what you thought?
I remember going through the community part, surveys and all that stuff. That was like really smooth and they gathered all that information.
Yeah, and I was a parent and a school site council member and I was part of the outreach in terms of bringing in the community and I felt like it was handled really well and professionally and respectfully.
And I should also add it, when they are outreaching to the community, they're also reaching out to our teachers and our other staff and yeah,
Yes.
it's the
Yeah.
whole thing.
I think it's a good investment in our future.
So do we want to take action to, let's see, I'll read exactly what the agenda item says, designate a search firm to lead superintendent search. And then do we want to designate Leadership Associates? That's the name of the group.
I think it would be kind of tough for us to pick a different group without doing some research on what else there is. And so
Is there,
we kind of know what they do but you know, what do you think?
so one question. With us not having a quote from them yet, and we're gonna say, yes, we're committing to.
Maybe we
moving
ought to
forward
get a
with them,
quote first.
It feels like we're putting the cart before the
Let me
horse.
be clear, you're not making, you're still gonna have to bring the contract in and approve it.
Okay,
And we would do that.
Your decision
Your
tonight is to say, you're gonna
we're
send,
gonna reach out to them.
so
engage.
again, normal procedure would be the president and one other become your committee. I'm just gonna offer that as a suggestion, that's best practice, but you decide. The call would be made for them to put together all of their information in a contract fashion with dollar amounts, with all the deliverables, and then you have to approve it. So that's not happening tonight. You're just,
Okay.
you're just
Perfect.
approving the first.
Just wanted to be clear
Yeah.
on that.
Okay, so do we want to make a motion to have Laura and who would like to be the second designee? You want to do vice president?
I would.
As that.
To be the committee to reach out to Leadership Associates and get a proposal. And then, I mean, if we needed to schedule a special meeting in between now and May 5th, we could, or we could just plan on approving it May 5th, but we lose a week if we, well, May 5th next
March
week.
5th. March.
And I'm saying May 5th, I mean March 5th.
And it's-
So let's just plan on that we would have that information to decide at our May 5th meeting. I'm sorry, I've lost a week in
That's, yeah.
March 5th. That MA has got me. Okay,
Yeah.
March 5th, which is only a week away.
So that's a motion.
Yes.
I'll second that.
The motion was made by Board Member Hurd and seconded by Board Member Van Zee. Roll call vote, Board Member Hurd.
Aye.
Board Member Van Zee.
Aye.
Board Member Ordway.
Aye.
Board Member Clark.
Aye.
Board Member Pratt.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.